In this video, I'm going to show you how to do a rinseless wash on your vehicle inside of a garage, but this is also applicable regardless if you want to do it inside, outside, or maybe it's too cold outside and you want to do it inside, or you live in an apartment. This is all still very applicable to you. Now, as far as wash products, you will need some type of rinseless wash. My preferred choice as of now, for the longest now, it's Optimum No Rinse. This is my rinseless wash. I also use it as a clay lubricant and to clean glass and windows. There's plenty of other products on the market. This happens to be Grease Garage rinseless wash and wax. This is the one I'll be using today in this scenario, but there's so many options, it doesn't matter. Try to buy one locally, that way you don't have to order anything online. Next, you'll need a drying aid. Now, I did a video in the past of the two towel dry method, but to keep things super simple, these aren't the most expensive, but they are costly compared to like your traditional cheap towels that you find locally. So I'm just gonna use 2 towels for now, for this demonstration, to keep things really simple. My idea here is that, look, you're just like 90% of the other drivers on the road. You just want to clean, your car's not corrected, you want to do it relatively quick without spending that much money. So I'm going to keep things very, very basic. I have these. I'm just going to use these 2 basic towels for drying. You may need more, but for demonstration purposes, I'm just going to use these 2. And lastly, you will need a wash mitt. This one's been used many times. I just got it because it's somewhat dry. I have a clean one in the bucket there, but you'll need some type of microfiber, some wash mitt. I have 7 at this point. I'm only going to be using 1 just because most people aren't going to have that many wash mitts on hand. So I'm going to be using 1 wash mitt, 2 regular towels to dry, and a rinseless wash product with a bucket filled around halfway because my car's not that big, so it doesn't need that much water. Now let's get into the actual how-to part of things. So my car actually is dirty. It's been at least, I want to say, 2.5 weeks since I've last cleaned it. Just because I've been lazy. But there's some truth to that. So there it is caked on. So I'm gonna be cleaning this part and then other few parts of the vehicle just to show you guys how it's done. And I just opened the garage a little bit to let some light in so it's not as dark in here. So I have my bucket, right? I have my bucket filled with water. Grease Garage rinseless. So there's just one wash mitt in here. And it smells great, by the way. So I'm going to, you don't need it damped. If we're in the garage, if you can make a big mess, sure, have it more damped. I'm not a fan of that. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna just squeeze most of it out so it's not dripping wet. So you'll literally just, there, now it's not that wet. And what you're literally gonna do, keeping things super simple, is you're going to start from the top and work your way down and just work in horizontal motions. Now, I could finish this entire car in probably 10 minutes, like washing. You don't have to move slow, right? Just because you're being soft, you're using very little gentle pressure on the surface, but you're literally just gonna go horizontal passes. And then once you're done with the section, because it's a rinseless, you don't need to rinse it off. So I'll literally just flip it over and then just go over one more pass. And bada beam, that part is done. And then you're gonna dunk it into your bucket and you'll literally just kind of give it a good rinse. Squeeze it out so not all the water is dripping, see? Not much is dripping anymore. And then you'll just continue on. Here, I'll go do this part of the vehicle. And you'll get it here. Very lightly. I'm not putting any pressure down whatsoever. And bada beam. You then go to your wash bucket. And just like that, this section is now complete. I have a relatively small car. I'm not gonna take that much time anyhow. If you have a truck, SUV, it's gonna take a bit longer. If it's still your first time or somewhat first time, or you're still trying to get the hang of things, take your time, no rush, especially if it's cold outside. Use your sink, fill it up with warm water. That way you'll keep your hands nice and warm. Right now it's like 60 degrees, so it's not that cold. But if it is colder, warm up the water and put it in the bucket. Next is you're gonna get your 2 towels. These aren't perfectly clean towels, and I'm doing this because most of you guys just want a clean car. I'm using very basic, not the best quality towels to dry this vehicle. Now, you just want to use one to mop up most of the water. So you're gonna have one that's gonna be slightly damped because it's gonna absorb most of the water. And then your second towel is gonna stay relatively dry because it's just to mop up or to remove the last streaks that are on the vehicle. So one towel is gonna stay, for the most part, wet because you're gonna get most of the water with this one. The second towel, for the most part, is gonna stay dry. So now this part is clean. We're done. It's washed. And you'll literally repeat that process on the next panel. Wring it out. Horizontal motions. Now you don't have to dry it off right after you finish that part. You can do, if you're in the garage, you can do the entire side first. Start from the top, get underneath there. No down pressure whatsoever, just to hold it there. You'd rather do multiple soft passes around the paint instead of pressing down on it. And can you see me, guys? One thing is you do want to keep on dunking it into your bucket. That way you're not just like pretty much cleaning the vehicle with a dry mitt. That's not what you want. So you always want to at least keep it lubricated. I'm putting very little pressure. Again, I'd rather do multiple passes than press down hard because that's when you start to really either mar or put those fine scratches in your paint. So even though I could be doing like 12 extra steps to make sure I'm not marring or scratching the vehicle, I'm going to take a few precautions on this and at least not put a lot of down pressure on the actual paint. Okay, so now door panel for the most part are done. These are done. Next is the bottom part. Now here, if it's really dirty, you can bypass using a wash mitt. Oh, where's the camera at? You can bypass using a wash mitt, and if you have an extra towel on hand, and this is like an even cheaper towel that you can buy locally. If you have an extra towel on hand, just dunk it into your rinseless. Assuming like, because the bottom part is gonna be probably one of your most dirtier areas because that's just what it's gonna be. So you literally just fold it into 4 and wipe it down. Now I won't dunk it back into the bucket, I'll just leave it hanging there. And then boom, now in total, we have the entire, for the most part, side of the vehicle done. It took me no more than, I don't know, like 8 minutes to finish that side. So now I'm gonna go ahead and dry these areas. Now if you do have the 2 same colored towels, you will have to make a mental note of which one is which. The wetter towel is gonna be the towel you need to actually dry everything, so just keep that in mind. So I'm literally just gonna come around here and mop it all up. Still using very little pressure. Like I'm not putting any down pressure. That's not what you want. Just take a little bit of precaution. That way you're not definitely putting any extra sort of scratches into your paint. And they're like, I'm using so little pressure. It's all coming off very easily. Boom. And now it's all dry. and you can keep on going. So now let's move on to the front windshield. If your vehicle is able to lift up the wiper blades, go ahead and do that. And so I will say that the back of the car is always going to be probably one of the dirtiest parts. So you're going to wash it the same, except the only difference is on the actual back windshield. I don't use a wash mitt just because since it's not paint, it's glass, it's very durable in terms of it's not going to scratch. So I always just use a separate towel to just wash the windshield because, again, relatively small car. If it's like a Range Rover or something or like an Escalade, it's a big windshield, so just use a towel separately and then wash the actual paint with the wash mitt. Here's yet again another cheap, locally bought set of towel. Because it's gonna be dirty. There's no reason to get the wash mitt dirty if you can just use another crappy towel to clean just the dirt off. And bada boom. And the next thing you can do with this is clean the license plates off. And then you can also clean the wiper. And then you can discard of the top because you've already cleaned the dirtiest parts. The rear, it's still gonna be dirty, but at least you're not gonna get the wash mitt as dirty now that you use this towel. And that wraps up the rinseless wash, whether it's in your garage, maybe it's too cold for you to take it out, you want to put some warm water in the bucket, you're at an apartment. This is basically the same strategy that you can use in various situations. Now I know there's endless amounts of videos that show you how to properly wash a vehicle, and they're using like 2-3 different mitts, the 2-bucket wash method, 5 different towels to dry, 3 different towels for the spray wax, and just using so many tools and products. And look, I do it too. I have all the same tools and products. I do it for customers, but for most of us that just want a clean car relatively quick by doing it ourselves with great results, this is a good enough method. Don't worry about like, oh, you're supposed to, use one wash mitt on the top part, a second wash mitt on the bottom part, the third wash mitt on this to reduce frozen scratches, and you're ruining the paint, and no. Keep it very simple. This is gonna fit 90% of people out there. Even for most of my customers, like, they don't care about swirls or scratches or their paint. All they wanna see is the dirt off their vehicle, and that's it. They've gone through the automatic car wash 50 billion times. They've taken it to the $5 hand wash 20,000 times. So you trying to like do it so properly and so perfect is like, dude, why? What are you doing? Like there's no difference in what you're doing other than to stroke your own ego. So that wraps up this video. Let me know if you have any questions, comments, feedback in the comment section down below, and I'll see you on the next video.